What are artificial flavors? Natural flavors. Sounds healthy, but it can mean almost anything. If you've ever stood in a grocery aisle thinking, wait, what even is natural flavor? You're not alone. Today, we're going to decode natural flavors versus artificial flavors in a way that's practical, not paranoid. By the end of this video, you'll be able to understand what these terms actually mean on labels, spot the most common label illusions that make products seem healthier than they are, and use a simple 10-second label test to decide if something fits your goals without turning shopping into a research project. Quick note, this is educational, not medical advice. If you have allergies, medical conditions, or take medications, talk to a qualified healthcare professional about what's best for you. Alright, let's start with the biggest misconception. Most people assume natural flavors equals safe and healthy. Artificial flavors equals toxic and dangerous. But these words weren't created as wellness labels. They're labeling categories more like a filing system than a health score. Here's the key shift. Flavor ingredients are there primarily for taste and aroma, not for nutrition. That matters because it explains why a product can taste like strawberry, vanilla, butter, smoke, birthday cake, without having much of the actual food you're imagining in it. Think about it like this. When you taste strawberry, you're not tasting a strawberry. You're tasting a set of aromatic compounds your brain recognizes as strawberry-like. That's what flavor technology is built around, recreating a recognizable sensory signal. So, broadly speaking, artificial flavors are typically created through controlled chemical processes to produce a specific flavor profile. What are natural flavors? Natural flavors are derived from natural source materials, plant or animal, and processed to isolate the flavoring components. And that's where a lot of people get surprised. Natural flavors does not automatically mean plant-based. It does not automatically mean vegan. It does not automatically mean kosher or halal. It might be, but the label phrase alone doesn't promise that. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but if natural flavors come from nature, why does it feel so vague? That brings us to the real issue, the umbrella term problem, potential concerns of artificial flavors. If you've ever read an ingredient list that says, natural flavors, artificial flavors, flavors, flavoring, you've seen what I call an umbrella term. Umbrella terms exist because flavor blends are often treated like proprietary formulas. Companies don't want to list every detail of a blend that creates their signature taste. So instead of seeing a long breakdown of each component, you see one short phrase. And here's why that matters. Two products can both say natural flavors and be completely different in how they're made, how complex they are, and what else is used to stabilize or deliver those flavors. Now, let's connect that to a common front label trap. Have you ever noticed how products say things like strawberry flavored, vanilla flavored, butter flavored? Here's the consumer confusion. Flavored sounds like it contains the food itself. But flavored often means the taste profile is added, not necessarily the ingredient you assume is there in meaningful amounts. So here's a practical question you can start asking. If it's strawberry flavored, is strawberry actually listed as an ingredient in a meaningful form like strawberries, strawberry puree, strawberry juice concentrate? Or is the strawberry experience coming mostly from a flavor blend? And listen, this isn't about shaming flavored foods, it's about understanding the difference between a product made with real ingredients that naturally create flavor and a product engineered to simulate a flavor experience. Once you see that difference, you stop being surprised when something healthy still triggers cravings, crashes, or just doesn't feel good. And that leads perfectly into the next topic, because for many people, the real impact isn't just the flavor compound itself. It can be what the flavor is carried in. Why natural doesn't always mean minimally processed. Here's something most people never consider. Flavor systems, especially powdered flavors, often need a vehicle to carry them. A way to keep them stable, a way to disperse them evenly, a way to make them usable in manufacturing. And sometimes, that vehicle can be a fast-acting carb-like carrier. One example that's often discussed in the context of flavored processed foods is maltodextrin. Now, I'm not saying every product with natural flavors has it, but I am saying this. If a label only says natural flavors, you don't automatically know what's inside the flavor system. So if you're someone who is managing blood sugar stability, insulin resistance, prediabetes, cravings, energy crashes, this matters because people often say things like, I cut sugar, but I'm still getting cravings. I'm eating health snacks, but I get sleepy afterward. I'm drinking something labeled clean, but I feel off. Sometimes the mismatch is that the product isn't high sugar, it's highly engineered. And engineered foods can still create a strong reward response, even when the nutrition panel looks impressive. Now, I want to be careful and fair here. This isn't a one ingredient equals one outcome situation. But if your goal is stable energy and fewer cravings, it's worth understanding how flavor systems can be part of a processed food design that keeps you coming back for another bite. And that's why, for some people, the topic of flavors isn't just curiosity, it's personal. Which brings us to the group that needs the most clarity and caution: allergies, sensitivities, and dietary restrictions. How to choose healthy alternatives. Let's get practical. If you care about flavors, you're usually in at least one of these categories. You're trying to eat less processed food, you're managing cravings or weight, you're watching blood sugar, you have allergies or sensitivities, you follow dietary standards like vegan, kosher, halal, you simply want fewer mystery ingredients. Allergies versus sensitivities. If you have a diagnosed food allergy, you've probably learned to look for the major allergen declaration, often the contains statement. That's your safety anchor. But sensitivities are trickier. Some people react to certain additives, certain sweeteners, certain flavor systems, or specific formulations common in ultra-processed foods. And with umbrella terms, it can be hard to identify triggers without contacting the company. So instead of fear, here's a calm strategy. Check allergen disclosures carefully. Prefer products with shorter, clearer ingredient lists when possible. And choose items that name the flavor source, like vanilla extract, rather than a broad, natural flavors umbrella. Vegan, kosher, halal, gotcha. Now, here's the dietary rule trap. Because natural flavors can be derived from plant or animal sources, the phrase alone doesn't guarantee it aligns with vegan, kosher, or halal standards. So if your lifestyle requires strict rules, your best shortcut is look for certifications or explicit statements, not just natural language. Now, let's add a twist most people never think about. Even if you understand the US label language, the same words can mean something different internationally. Global labeling differences. If you've ever traveled or bought imported foods and thought, why does this taste different? It's not just in your head. Different regions can have different standards for how flavor terms are used and what they imply. So here's the big takeaway. Labels are legal language, not wellness language. Once you understand that, you stop asking, is this label good or bad? And you start asking the smarter question, how much is this label telling me and what's missing? That perspective shift keeps you grounded. Because this conversation can get dramatic online, fast people turn it into fear. But the most useful way to talk about flavors isn't natural versus artificial as a morality debate. The most useful way is to zoom out and look at the biggest evidence-backed pattern connected to flavors. Ultra-processed foods. The bigger pattern flavor engineering plus ultra-processed foods. Here's where everything clicks. Flavor systems are especially common in foods designed to be shelf-stable, consistent, intensely palatable, and easy to overeat. And there's a reason for that. When manufacturers reduce things like sugar, fat, or salt, often to make the nutrition label look better, taste can drop. So, they rebuild the sensory experience using flavor technology, sweetness perception, aroma intensity, mouthfeel, aftertaste. That's why. Reduced sugar doesn't always taste less sweet, and low fat can still taste rich. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying flavors alone cause overeating, but flavor engineering can be part of the broader ultra-processed design strategy because ultra-processed foods are built to deliver maximum reward with minimal effort. And here's why that matters. In a controlled NIH study, people ate significantly more calories per day on an ultra-processed diet compared to an unprocessed diet, even when the diets were matched for several key nutrition variables. That doesn't prove one ingredient is evil. It shows how food processing level can influence intake and weight outcomes. So here's the practical, non-paranoid conclusion. Instead of obsessing over whether a flavor is natural or artificial, ask, is this product built from recognizable food ingredients or built to imitate a food experience? Now that you have that lens, let's make this ridiculously usable with the 1-0 second label test. The 1-0 second label test. Imagine you're holding a product in the store. Two options. Both look healthy on the front. Here's the 1-0 second label test. Step 1. Look at how the flavor is written. If it says vanilla extract, cocoa, cinnamon, lemon juice, peppermint oil, that's specific. If it says natural flavors, artificial flavors, flavors, that's an umbrella term. Umbrella doesn't automatically mean bad. It means less clarity. Step 2. Scan the ingredient list shape. Short list, mostly recognizable ingredients, often less processed. Long list with multiple sweeteners, gums, modified starches, emulsifiers, and flavors, often more engineered. Step 3. Ask the flavor to food question. If it says strawberry flavored, does it actually list strawberries or strawberry ingredients? If it says butter flavored, is butter present or is it a flavor system? You're not panicking. You're checking whether you're buying food or food simulation. Now, let's apply it to real life. Example 1. Flavored yogurt. Some yogurts taste like strawberry dessert, but contain very little fruit. The flavor system is doing most of the work. Example 2. Sparkling water. For most people, a flavored sparkling water is still a huge upgrade from soda. But if you want maximum transparency, you'll look for simpler labels or clearly described sources. Example 3. Protein bars and healthy snacks. This is where flavor engineering goes wild. Sugar may be reduced, but the product can still be built to taste like dessert, sometimes triggering cravings, even when you did everything right. Now, one more quick clarification. People assume organic means no flavors. Not necessarily. Organic can still allow certain flavor ingredients under stricter rules, so organic can be a helpful signal, but it's not a guarantee of zero flavor systems. So what do you do with all this without going crazy? Here are 3 simple approaches. Minimalist. Whole foods most of the time, processed foods occasionally, no stress. Umbrella awareness. Treat natural flavors as a pause and check moment. Sensitivity strategy. Prioritize transparency, fewer ingredients, and contact brands if needed. And here's the healthiest mindset to end with. Natural flavors aren't automatically good. Artificial flavors aren't automatically evil. Sometimes a label can be legally correct and still leave you with unanswered questions. So the smartest move isn't fear. It's awareness and better defaults. If this helped you, subscribe for more science-based label breakdowns and practical health education you can actually use. And I want to hear from you. What's one product you've seen that says natural flavors that you want broken down next? Drop it in the comments. I'll pick a few and cover them in a future video. Stay informed, stay health.